In 1993, an arresting photograph gripped the world's attention. An emaciated frail little girl, fallen to the ground from hunger, while a vulture ominously lurked on the ground nearby. This evocative image came to epitomize the devastating famine in Sudan. The image was captured by Kevin Carter, a South African photojournalist who later won a Pulitzer Award for feature photography for the image. However, things would unfortunately take a tragic turn for him. Kevin Carter was born in 1960 in Johannesburg, South Africa, and belonged to the daring group of photographers known as the Bang Bang Club, who documented the brutalities of apartheid. He was accustomed to witnessing violence up close. In the mid-1980s, Carter captured the first images of necklacing. This involved killing accused collaborators by putting a gasoline-filled tire around victims and lighting it on fire. The images horrified Carter, but later he felt they perhaps served a purpose as he increasingly saw photography's power to sway attitudes. In 1993, Carter got an assignment in Sudan. Drought and civil war devastated the country, but the story received little press. Carter hoped to shine a light on the humanitarian crisis. Traveling with colleague João Silva, Carter reached a UN food camp in Aid, Sudan. The famine's severity jolted him. At the camp, he photographed an emaciated girl collapsed on the ground, with a vulture lurking ominously nearby. He later told Silva he was shocked by the situation he had just photographed and had chased the vulture away. Carter's photo, published in March 1993 by the New York Times, shocked the world. Hundreds of people contacted the newspaper to ask about the fate of the girl. The paper said that according to Carter, she recovered enough to resume her trek after the vulture was chased away, but that it was unknown whether she reached the UN Food Center. The image vividly conveyed the despair of famine victims, although some felt the picture was exploitative, but it generated donations for relief aid. When Kevin Carter returned to South Africa from Sudan, he was given the Pulitzer Award for the chilling Aid photo in April 1994. During this period, Carter faced a lot of criticism from those who believed he did not help the child and shot a photograph instead. They charged him with ruthlessly exploiting human agony just to capture a compelling image. However, in an article on the most iconic photos in the world, Time magazine wrote, immediately after their plane touched down in the village of Aid, Carter began snapping photos of famine victims. Seeking relief from the sight of masses of people starving to death, he wandered into the open bush. He heard a soft, high-pitched whimpering and saw a tiny girl trying to make her way to the feeding center. As he crouched to photograph her, a vulture landed in view. Careful not to disturb the bird, he positioned himself for the best possible image. He would later say he waited about 20 minutes, hoping the vulture would spread its wings. It did not, and after he took his photographs, he chased the bird away and watched as the little girl resumed her struggle. Afterward he sat under a tree, lit a cigarette, talked to God and cried. His colleague would later recall, he was depressed afterward, he kept saying he wanted to hug his daughter. 4 months after receiving the Pulitzer, Carter committed suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning at age 33. In his suicide note, Carter wrote, "I'm really, really sorry. The pain of life overrides the joy to the point that joy does not exist. Depressed, without phone, money for rent, money for child support, money for debts, money. I am haunted by the vivid memories of killings and corpses and anger and pain, of starving or wounded children, of trigger-happy madmen, often police, of killer executioners. I have gone to join Ken if I am that lucky." The final line is a reference to his recently deceased colleague Ken Oosterbroek, who had died of a bullet wound covering violence in South Africa's Thokoza in 1994, close to a month before Carter committed suicide. Although there is no literature claiming that the vulture and the child was the reason for his death, his work overall was emotionally demanding and he often experienced lucidity that came with surviving violence again and often used drugs to cope with his miseries. He was quoted telling his friends, "Every photographer who has been involved in these stories has been affected. You become changed forever. Nobody does this kind of work to make themselves feel good. It is very hard to continue." In his brief but brilliant career, Carter expanded photography's power to expose injustice. In 2011, the child's father revealed the child was actually a boy, Kong Nyong, and had been taken care of by the UN Food Aid Station. However, Nyong had died 4 years prior, in 2007, of a malaria fever. Thanks for watching, subscribe, like and share this video.